Kia ora koutou. Miss Parker here, Madam Parker here at Down by the River podcast with my brother Amos. First off, I just want to say thank you so much. Ngā mihi nui ki a koe. Thank you for coming here and being a part of this podcast and bringing your time and your energy and your bomb-ass background over there.
Let's go. Bringing that heat.
Yes, bringing that heat. And I'm just so thankful that you've allocated some time for us to have a bit of a kōrero and to just be nosy about your life and all the things that you've got going on over there, my bro. So thank you. Ngā mihi. Firstly, how are you? How are you feeling?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm about a 7. Could be better. But after the full moon phase, I'm in that mindset of planning.
Well, love it, my bro. Toki. So, without me even having to give you too much of a background of this beautiful man right here, this beautiful being, I'm just going to hand it over to you, my bro. Where are you at in life at the moment? What are you doing and how are you feeling with where you're at the moment in life, in general?
Let's go. I'll open up with an introduction. So, e re kau mai te kāhui maunga ki Tangaroa kuau te awa, ko te awa kuau. Tini whetu ki te rangi korangi tāne ki te whenua. Ko Ngāti Hāmoa tore ngaitanga te mautere tapu, tihei, Mauri ora. Ngā mihi nui ki a koutou katoa. My name is Amos Ponga and I am a media director, entrepreneur, young, aspiring governor, and I do a lot of mahi across Aotearoa, so it's great to share this space with Mads. I consider myself to be a huge creative. And I guess we can start unpacking all the different things that I'm working on today, into the next few weeks, into the months ahead. And I guess I want to focus more around media and being that filmmaker of 2022 and just going around really recording a lot of whānau, a lot of people around their kaupapa. And it's I'm taking the concept, in order to know where you're going, you have to know where you've been. So analyzing the past, creating some things in your present, and then looking forward to that future.
Oh, ngā mihi. I love it, my bro. I love it. And yes, let's focus on that type of stuff, especially being an incredible creative and filmmaker as yourself. I mean, I've been lucky enough to be able to cross paths with you on a few different things in regards to what you do. Where did that ignite for you? Like, where did that whole journey in media and being a filmmaker, where did it start for you?
Since I can remember with technology, I went over to Japan a long time ago, and I had learned what technology was. You know, this Māori kid that was hunting and gathering, didn't know anything about science, went over to Japan, come back knowing everything about science. Well, I thought I knew. And over the years, I've always just been interested in what new tech's coming out and what it's capable of. And since the age of phones and the age of recording, I started realizing that I could capture my life. And if I was to leave this world earlier than expected, I'd have media content left for the flow on the next generation, or if I had any children, that my children could reflect on me in my 20s or me in my 30s, growing into the person that I am. And what happened was, at some point, I think it was around 2018, that content creation was a hype. It was cool, and it was noticed.
2018, yes.
So I started turning the camera around. So I was like, okay, cool. I've been vlogging myself for so long now. Like, my favorite thing to watch is myself, because I can reflect on who I was and then develop myself into somebody new. But now, with that concept, I turned the camera around and I started following sustainability across New Zealand. And that looks something like Whenua Warrior, Aotearoa Kai Gatherers, creating spaces. There's a few more entities as well that I work alongside with to capture their stories for their tamariki. And I'm really looking to create my own Netflix space to showcase our mahi. Instead of having it split all over the internet, we can actually refine that into one place where we can come in and look into that stuff. And that's where I'm heading recently with my current projects that have been given the go ahead. I can now start building this multimedia platform and then start getting out there and filming across New Zealand, all the things that I believe in.
Wow, that is so incredible. You know, not only are you so giving with your knowledge around your journey and with everything that you're doing in the media, but the fact that you're like, who doesn't know Netflix? The fact that you're moving into the Netflix platform. I mean, for anybody that I actually know in the music industry or in that type of field, I haven't even heard anyone as an independent young filmmaker actually going to step into that platform. Like, I feel like that's such a massive platform. And for you,
that's good
as
to hear.
that's incredible. Well, it's only me though, but that's only me. But I'm just like, and for you to be so young as well, to be able to bring light to so many important kaupapa around sustainability and emotional intelligence and cultivating all that live lifestyle, important lifestyle. And I feel especially for our people, and to bring that to a platform like Netflix is incredible. So ngā mihi nui ki a koe, that's incredible mahi.
Yes, agreed.
And Japan is probably only one of the many places you've been to, right? You've probably been to quite a few.
Yeah, I've been to many places. I think I had a stint of traveling the world, and then after a while realized Aotearoa is a beautiful place and we have beautiful scenery.
Yeah.
With not a lot of people. So Japan was one of the many stops. I spent, I think, 1.5 years over there teaching haka.
I want to go. What? You taught haka over in Japan?
I think I was 16. I was this grown-ass 16-year-old on my own, traveling from school to school teaching haka. So that was a blessing to learn, actually, the Japanese culture.
At
and
the ripe age of 16.
Yeah, pretty young.
How did you,
I had left home at 15 and grown up. So
how did you get into that? How did you get into teaching haka in Japan? Let's start there.
So I was like I was saying, I was one of those Māori boys that were raised down by the river. So my first language is Te Ao Māori, Tikanga Māori, a lot of the things to do with what was taught around marae and culture. And then when I went into school, I accelerated and did like university at 6th form or 5th form. So I had my 3 years already when I was 16, and they says, well, why not skip university and just go over to Japan and teach haka? And we were in at the time Te Piringa, which was like internationally known for a high school. I was doing Māori speeches, so I had the recognition, and it was pretty easy just to accept it and say, free trip as a Māori to Japan for a year, fully funded. That's a blessing.
That is a blessing, and you took it with both hands and just rode it out over there as a 16-year-old and went all the way over to Japan to teach our culture. Wow.
Breaking boundaries.
Breaking boundaries is, I've never heard of that in my life.
I think back and I'm like, at some point in somebody's lives, in people's lives, they would have gone through something like this. But when I speak it out more, which I don't usually do, people are like, bro, that ain't normal. And I'm like, I thought it was.
No, that is
everyone
not
gets
normal.
chances like this.
Yeah, and that's massive. That is one massive journey for a 16-year-old young Māori boy to be going over to a place like all the way over to Japan to be the haka. Whoa. See, I didn't know this about you too. I'm so glad that we're, layers over here. This is like,
I guess, that's
in a completely different lens now, my bro. Okay.
Arigatou gozaimasu.
Super cultured, and man, first off, Ngāmihi, that's incredible. That is so incredible. What did your parents say? Were they just like, they already knew you were a man at that point? They just trusted you? I think
so, yes. So like in the Māori world, when I say, I was raised around Māori culture, there's no age limit to when you can start things. So if you were 10 years old and you were capable of driving a car, then you're driving a car.
Sure.
If you were 12 years old and you can stab an eel, then you're cooking some dinner. Like there were a lot of things that you had to learn at that age back in that time that made you, I called it back then street smart, and it was in the jungle or in the streets. And as I grew up, I found my own independence and left my family. Since the age of 16, I was on my own. Hustling one thing after the next to really live and find my own opportunity without the support of my people. It was for me to find my own way without influence of family.
Wow, that is so inspiring. To our whānau out there living down by the river, you too could be in Japan following your dreams or anything really. An interesting kōrero that I had with my sister before jumping on with you, bro, was her auntie, one of the advice one of the pieces of advice that has lived with her even after her auntie had passed was kau e nohe ki runga i te taiapa, which means, in life you don't want to be sitting on the fence. You just go for it. But she said, in life you don't want to be sitting on the fence because you get sore balls.
Waiting in vain, they call that.
Yeah. And when she had told me that, I was like, wow, I took that as a whakatauki for myself too, because I thought that is so funny, but really cool at the same time. Because as you get on in age, you start to realize those things really hold a lot of weight. So that's what I thought about when you were sharing that story with you at 16 going all the way over to Japan. You definitely did not noho ki runga i te taiapa, not at all. Very inspiring, very motivating. Thank you so much for sharing that as well. So
that's all good.
I know we took a tangent on that one, but with being a filmmaker and you realizing, in 2018, this was a really big thing. Out there in the ao. What did you do? What did you do to follow that path? And did you have any struggles along the way that brought you to a point where you were just like, stuff this? I'm really not going to do this anymore. I'm not feeling this, or did you ever have did that point come with you in regards to that media portai, I should say, being a filmmaker?
Definitely. I think a life-changing moment for me was I had met a high school friend over in Poland when we went to the United Nations conference filming. Well, I was there to support Māori Indigenous rights. And she said to me, you really need to focus in and refine yourself because you're just not that great. And it really hit home for me to say, well,
excuse me,
I need to, I was like, I come all the way to the other side of the world. It's great to see you again, and you're criticizing me from the get-go. And what it told me was that, your quality could be better. In your head, you've got this mindset of you're the man, but really you're here amongst international filmmakers watching what they do, and you should be writing down everything. So from that moment, I really did start doing all of that stuff to refine my own style and technique. And from there, I think 2018 onwards, I've utilized Māori Warrior Media as a entity to gather money or funds to build capacity for projects so that I can go around and film and pay myself on the side so I'm not out of pocket. So that's to do around funding and stuff that starts the projects and then building capacity through side hustles, whether that be merchandise or investors.
Yeah, and this is a style that, I will openly say that I feel like I'm a copycat when it comes to you because I look up to you so much as a creative. And I know I'm not sure if we get to dabble in this part, but I know you've also had time and invested some time in the music as well. So I think that's what connected us in the first place as well. Just seeing the way you work and seeing the way you utilize your knowledge and your travel and just seeing you take all the bits from all these different places that you've traveled to and taking all this different advice and being able to just take what works for you and really just start injecting it in all these different portai that you wear to umbrella yourself. I feel like you literally are your own business in every shape and form. Like creatively, you're in the back end of everything. You're in the research part of things. You've done the study. In the back end of things, you're the front man in a lot of your things, and you're also you're the guy that's researching the things that you need to buy to up your game. You're the guy that's, again, going for your own funding. You're the one in there pulling out the application forms. You're the one out there networking. You're the one doing all these things and juggling.
That's me, Māori Batman.
Yeah, Māori bloody Batman. You really are. You're really just, you've got your own empire going on, and you are wearing so many different hats in your own empire as well. I mean, you're great at networking, and you even manage to help creatives along the way and bring them into your journey that I feel is such an entrepreneurial level. But how do you facilitate all of that Is that because you've traveled? You owe a lot of that to traveling and seeing how big filmmakers work and how big companies work and small companies and different cultures. Has that been like a massive, thing for you, and that's made you able to juggle all these different things?
Man, that's a big one to unpack.
It is. Sorry, I really juggled it all in.
I got you. So we'll go back to the previous question and then link it into this one. It comes in waves. So since the start of 2018, I've had waves of highs and lows like a roller coaster. And what I say to myself is it takes 10,000 hours to become expert at something, or you can go to university. So I spend a lot of my life learning, constantly researching, constantly leveling up what I call in every space, whether that be in the filmmaking space, and I need to learn more about videography, then I'll go on and I'll spend an hour of my time sifting the internet to learn more about videography. Now, I don't spend my free time on social media scrolling nowadays. Everything that I use online is towards learning something. And I think for myself, that's definitely what keeps me ahead of my game, but also on my toes.
Yeah. Wow. Good on you. Yeah, it's all about keeping your time productive, and like you said, shifting your energy towards things that can basically grow or help you to build your empire. I think it's safe to say that I've been one of those many that are out there that are fighting. I tend to, I write out the schedule. I have to really pre-plan things out for myself and visually see my plan every day, so I can make sure that I don't get too distracted. And I shift back. Don't watch that shiny rabbit over there, but I shift back into shift my focus and shift my energy back into building what I want to build, and completely am in agreement with the whole, make sure that you put in 10,000 hours into the things that you love, because the more that you can use that productivity and focus and research what you love or what you're passionate about, the more successful that's going to be. And the more,
we say the simple term, where energy goes, it grows.
Yes.
So wherever you put that energy is what you're going to grow. And if you put that into negative stuff, if you put that into things that aren't going to get you anywhere, then that's where you're going to go. So in a sense, if you look at a 24-hour period in your day and you look at, well, I really need sleep. 8 hours of sleep is going to help your mind develop and grow a lot more. So it's all these little things. I utilize Te Whare Tapa Whā, which is a lot of self-development, self-awareness stuff, because if you don't have that, then the internet may consume you, and all the developmental projects that you're working on.
Yeah, most definitely. Talk about the internet can consume you. I try to put in, I got some friendly advice to, shift some of my marketing or shift some of my mahi towards the TikTok, platform.
Let's go. And what happened here?
I was like, I wish I had you over here on my shoulder, my bro, tipping me and be like, okay, that's enough research. Go do your mahi. Do what that you're going to do on this platform. So I went on there and I was just like, there's so many distractions on there. There's so many things that can either ignite an idea that you can put towards whatever it is, your brand, your empire, whatever it is that you're growing. You could take some of those ideas, some really cool ideas, and you can put it into your mahi, or you can, get caught up in a comedy segment of somebody's profile, just having a big old laugh for a good hour, which is taking you away from your mahi.
You could be getting in trouble because someone's dancing and you're like, I didn't search this. It just came up.
You could get in trouble. Yeah, 100%. It's all with me too. I'm a foodie. So I'm like, I get caught on there for another hour. Next minute, there's 3 hours of my day that could have been utilized towards that productivity. So I completely understand where you're coming from. Do you ever get those? Do you ever get any, or are you you really know what you want, and your energy is it's easy for you to stay planted in what you want to do?
Definitely that. I have learned to sift social media not to consume. So I'm emotionless when it comes to consuming content unless I want to.
Wow.
But when it comes to creating content, you have to be the same as well. You really have to be ruthless, like the Wreck-It Ralph concept. As soon as you start seeing the negative comments in chat, if you don't know how to navigate those energies, then you're going to absorb it.
Yeah. So let's tap into that a little bit. I mean, just for some of our our listeners over there, how do you do that for you? Like, what are some of the what are the tools? What are the things that you use to ensure that you don't become that consumer? And if you can sort of relay it in the most simplest way, so our people because I know there's a lot of our people, including myself. Every now and then I can take myself out of it, but sometimes I go into that rabbit hole and I become that consumer. So even for me too, bro, what's some advice you would give me to ensure that I don't become that consumer?
Third person perspective. So whenever you sit down and you look at your phone, just imagine you are your ancestor behind you somewhere, looking at you, look at your phone going, what has the world come to? You know, it's now 2022 where all I see you doing is scrolling. Like the ancestors want you to take action and do upon your vision, your passions. And if you're scrolling too much, then your ancestors probably tell you to get off.
I love that. I love that so much. Thank you. Thank you for that. That resonates with me big time. That really
there's lots of things you can do, like, but it all ties back into emotional intelligence and the self. Like if you understand yourself, then you're gonna know when you're scrolling, I'm scrolling. Damn. Yeah. Like it's a habit, identify it, break it or change it and try something new. If that means you put your phone down and you go plant something, then guess what? That's half an hour you're not gonna be scrolling.
Yeah. So your advice would be to get your nono out there in nature and just do some other stuff. Put the phone down over there, go out there, do some planting, have a swim, go for a walk, go to the water hole, pop some manus.
Pop some manus.
We go back to down at the river.
Bombs away. If we go back to where your energy goes, it grows. When you spend time in nature, what you're doing is spending time clearing your mind, strengthening your immunity and taking all of that natural stuff that you really need when it comes to the integration into the social media or technology world. And that's two different spaces I see. It's the physical space that we live in and do things, and then the digital space that we're consuming at an accelerated rate.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much. I feel like I need to do that with my tama too. He's at 16, so he's like the TikTok guy, putting on his content. And, I like it to a point where he's out there going to do stuff with his friends or going to the gym or whatever it is, wherever he's going. I don't mind him being that guy doing his TikTok, but then when I see him sitting there on the phone, I'm like, I feel like I'm the ancestor sometimes, standing over him going, what the hell are you doing? Like, what are you actually watching? Are you learning anything from that? Are you learning how to live a life of abundance with that? Like I'm that mom.
Actual, like if you're not increasing the self-awareness, then they're going to be consumed. So that's really good.
Yeah. Which I mean, I'm pretty excited. On the flip side of this, I want to talk to you a bit more about a couple of things that I've been working on as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to over here.
Let's go.
Thank you for that advice, my bro. So with being a filmmaker and all those incredible things that you do, all those multitasking, all those different hats, I just wanted to share with our listeners that, and we'll come back to the media side of things, but you were involved in some music, Mahi.
Yes.
As well. You had a bit of a music journey there.
Been around the dial with some writers as well.
Yes. Can we lightly just touch that just so our whānau can see another puta that you had on for a little bit there?
So back when I grew up at the age of 16, we were a part of like a international kapahaka group that made it. And for a few years, we were reigning champions, first place. And then we got talent scoped to do a cappella work. So from the age of 16 up to 25, I was doing side hustle a cappella jobs for, the Pākehā rich, fancy wine and dine events. And we'd just jump up, do some Boys to Men.
Just do some Boys to Men, just Boys to Men. It's one of the biggest groups back in the 90s that used to just kill it,
And it just grew, really. I chased my passion in Auckland and I joined the Auckland group in choir and in barbershop.
Wow. I love barbershop harmonies too. They're like my favorite type of harmonies and arrangements.
Oh, wow. Man, when you get the tags and they all lock, I'm like, ooh, the feeling. Gives you that wairua hit for sure.
Is there any stuff that we could check out? I'm actually curious now. This is a question I'm asking for my damn self. But is there any stuff that I can scope and find you doing stuff like that where I can see
Yeah,
you?
so Freiburg Barbershop was like the start of my barbershop journey. And then Pride of Auckland Chorus was the Pan Pacific group that we were a part of. They went international and performed over in Hawaii and did some
Hawaii
barbershop stuff over
I'm
there.
writing this
Yeah.
down. I'm writing this down.
But this is the shift, I guess, amongst all of these wired to music journeys. I ended up going underground at some point and I became a South Auckland producer. I don't know how I got there, but there was a circle of talent around South Auckland and they were really trying to make it, but they didn't have all the gear to set themselves up. And I just acquired all the gear and set up my garage. So for a good part of a year and a half there, I had people coming in to work out and then they'd be recording tracks that they could take with them after a session hanging out with me. And chuck that out online. And it got pretty big.
And you released it.
A lot of names were going. Yeah.
Like,
so I'd be the one dropping all their tracks and they're like, who's the guy that makes it? I'm like, I don't even care. Just chuck a random name on it.
Oh my God, you're like a ghostwriter, bloody producer.
Yeah. So it was a good part of like a year where I was following underground artists performing on stage and I'd just be on the background, really enjoying the hype, maybe getting a video here and there. Being like, all right, here's your video. That was a great experience for me in my growth journey and see you later.
Wow. You just continue to freaking freak me out, bro. So you've basically been a creative all your life from leaving home at 16 to go and live a life and live off being a creative and on top of that. And then you just continued all the way to now even.
Yeah. I mean, I say to myself, it definitely is my greatest strength, but also my greatest weakness. I don't know how to stop. And that's because at the young age, I've always been in that hustle mentality, that survival mode of like, if I just do lots and I keep pushing myself past my boundaries, then at some point in my life, I'm not going to have boundaries. I can do everything without effort. And I think after all those years, I'm getting to that space now where I've spent so much time in all these different spaces. What do I want to do with these talents? What do I want to do with these strengths? How do I want to use them? And I know through filmmaking, I can raise awareness first, and then I can throw everything else on top of that. You want to come and see whenua, you want to come and see interviews of people on whenua, you want to come and buy a whenua hoodie, like linking all my businesses and entities together to represent how my year's going to look.
Wow. You are your tutu whale.
Tutu ass. What's that? How does that work? Mastered next.
Yeah, tutu, but a very productive tutu. Like you're the positive part of a tutu. I think actually being a tutu is a good thing because then you figure things out, really, isn't it?
Yes.
So you're one of those tutu fellas.
Well, my expertise is in is in computer science, and so I have that programming mindset, and we are always dedicated to solving problems. So that's where it's just gone from like a program into my life, and I've just been like, oh, that's a great skill to have.
Yeah, so I guess you know what I feel? I feel like because you've been traveling and you've been working as a creative and following your passions and really just going on your own path, I feel like the energy that I get from you as well, and just the way that you sort of adapt to different situations and apply yourself through what you do, I feel like you've definitely got a growth mindset for sure, but super grounded and growth mindset, super grounded. And I'm just in awe of how you cultivate your energy and you're able to release all the knowledge, but in a solution-based way, real easy. Like I feel like every time we have a conversation and I feel like I'm talking and you're looking at me and you're already like, just from hearing me halfway through my conversation in your mind, it's like you've already thought of a solution to that situation. Yes. And, people that have been colonized, and I'll put myself in the mix here too, because there's a lot of unlearning I need to do, and I need to figure that out through people like you. You know what I mean? That don't have that colonized or programmed mind, because you've at a young age, you've already reprogrammed your mind. So now you're not even a part of... I think
I go through, a lot of reprograms where I'm like, you know what? Let's just forget everything and hit the great reset. start again.
Yeah. And you've done it for so many years. Like just hearing your journey, I'm just like, you would have been to have a growth mindset at the age of 16, you're going to a country that you've never been to before, to a country that's going to speak a language that you've never really heard before.
First time.
So you would have, you would have deprogrammed from even all the way back then and then just cultured yourself, really. And obviously your wairua and where you're from, being by the awa and all that sort of stuff, your ancestors would have definitely guided you, but you have a completely different mindset to a lot of us. That's probably why you can. Sorry, I'm just thinking out loud now. I'm just thinking, wow, that's
you are correct.
Why you navigate yourself the way you do.
I'll show you a card that I pulled the other day, and this one here, it says legacy.
Yo.
And that kind of simplifies everything that you were saying. So
yes,
I'm very persistent. I don't give up until I get it. And that's because I'm trying to create legacy. I think for myself, I understood at some point, I could have looked amazing. I could go and travel the world. I could live a great life and do great things. But I understand in my whakapapa, it's all about passing on things to the next generation. And as soon as I had my son, I realized, that's the impact that I'm looking for. The impact is him. And he's also the reason why I don't sleep and I stay up doing all these things every single day, because I think at one day he's going to grow up to understand Papa tried his best, worked really hard, not bad, but I could do so much better. And when I've done that, I've succeeded, legacy created.
Yes, that is it in a nutshell. You are building your empire and creating a legacy. Yes. And you bloody are, all right? You freaking really are, bro. You're definitely on that waka. So I'm glad we moved into the legacy side of things. I mean, I could sit here and wānanga with you, I feel like, all day about all the other different journeys that you've been on, because I feel like you've been on so many. But now that we've actually dipped into that legacy side of things, and understanding that everything that you do is to go towards this legacy. Let's talk about what that entails. Like, what have we got going on with you? What have you got going on? All the facets, the merch, the stories, the films, the everything. Let's lay it out and have a kōrero about that.
Okay, well, let's jump into, I think what you would have known it to be was Tile Designs. And that was my entrepreneur online e-commerce venture that I did with Kahal, which you're a part of as well. You can understand in there's so much to learn with the digital space and how we can utilize all of that.
Yes.
So it's like it just opens you up to so much more. And it's that entrepreneur mindset again that I was like, okay, cool, let's try and build this online store and see how it works. And it flew into 5-digit like figures where when I wanted money, I could create new designs, I could put merch out and people would buy it, which was cool as a tester. But where we're going now is we've switched the name, we've registered as Tile Legacy. And what Legacy is that we're following.
I love it.
Yes. Legacy life. So we're going to be following a lot of people around Aotearoa, like, Aotearoa Kai Gatherers with Te Ururangi, and then we've got Harmonious Ra with Creating Space.
Yes.
And they all want their own brand. They all want their own prints. And so we're going to be featuring them on our store, and we're the only place you can buy it. And as we grow and we move around the country, we're going to be including more artists, more creatives, and really focusing in on ourselves, Aotearoa, and the legacy we're trying to create. Now, I see out there in the clothing and apparel world, we usually go out and we buy, from Adidas or Nike and stuff. And what I want to do here is switch the lens on, like, Nike's great, Adidas is great, but so is our legacy. Like, that's where it's at right now. That's what we should be repping. And if we're going to be on camera a lot, why don't we rep ourselves?
Tile Legacy.
Legacy's on. So that drops on the 28th. I'm actually doing a 30-day content calendar. So for the next 30 days from the 28th, we're going to be rolling out our store alongside our first documentary rollout. So that's going to be exciting.
Incredible. So that's the 28th of this month?
Yeah.
Or
28th of this month.
Oh, wow. It's happening in 4 days.
And I've still got some work to do.
I mean, that is so cool. That's like very soon. It's the 24th today, so it's coming out on the 28th, whānau. And where can we find that Tile Designs? Oh, Tile Legacy.
Legacy, yeah, Tile Legacy. So the store will drop, and then we've got like a boosted crowdfunding campaign that runs alongside this, but we can find that mainly at Tile Legacy. That's where all of our drops and info will be released.
Okay. I have to make sure that I share some of that stuff and share some of that content on my socials, because I'm like realizing this podcast probably won't come out till after that drop. So I've got a mental note of that. The 28th of March, Tile Legacy is going to drop the merch line, and your store will be found on www.tilelegacy.co.nz.com. That's right. We're going to infinity out there. Infinity beyond.
To the universe and back.
To the universe and back, whānau. To the universe and back to the awa over here.
And back to the awa. Let's go.
So we've got Tile Legacy. What else have we got going on? What you got coming up and what's happening?
Yep. So Talanoa Aotearoa is like a series similar to yourself, where I just go around and podcast people, and I do episodes around the individual strengths and how they've gone from struggle to success. Which will flow on to our secondary rangatahi developments, and them following our journeys and copying their process of like, okay, well, what have they gone through and where does their success lie, so that we can track that as well. So that was like one of the things that we're doing with building our Netflix space. I think another interesting one, I think for myself. Cool. Sorry, Talanoa Aotearoa. That one's on Facebook as well.
Talanoa Aotearoa. So have you got just a specific page for that, or do they come and see your socials?
So like I've just created them all. You can just check out Facebook, Talanoa Aotearoa, Instagram, Talanoa Aotearoa. Probably going to stay away from TikTok. It's just too quick. But those are our two main spaces. Okay,
cool. Instagram and Facebook, Talanoa Aotearoa. Make sure you go and check that out, whānau. That'll be my go-to. That's where I want to be consumed over there. I'll be a consumer of our stuff. Yes.
Some great stories. So Talanoa is telling your story to find the lessons that you may share to your tribe, to your people, to your community, which in our case is our next generation coming through our kids.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, that's that one.
That's a mean one.
Yeah, the most exciting one that I'm looking forward to is we are opening up our wellbeing center in Wanganui. So we've been working on, it's called Te Whare Mauri.
Te Whare Mauri in Wanganui.
The Energy House, in Wanganui. And what that is it's a carving studio. It's a tāmoko studio. It does your hunting and gathering. It teaches you about matariki. It teaches you about maramataka, te reo, the language as well. And then also just all the stuff that I'll be doing, I'll be rolling out of there as well, just to support.
My namesake. So it's going to be a wellness centre in Wanganui over there. See, these are the types of things that are totally needed too. I mean, it's awesome to see creatives out there, like creating spaces and Aotearoa gatherers, and seeing you as well, and you guys collectively coming together, and then seeing wellness centers built, because it's one thing to put something together or get a grant for something and inject it in a community for a small amount of time, but at the end of the day, to build a stronger community, it really starts with a lot of wairinga and a lot of things that definitely go down in those wellness centers. So those are definitely totally needed. We need to go all the way back to the mindset, and obviously our whare tapawha, and then be able to build a community from there, and then bring everything out, bring all those other cool stuff out there, and engage with our community and uplift and empower our community. So that is mean. When is that opening?
That's opening Matariki. So we've got this big haulas to get all the matas set up, to get all the carvings done, to get all of our creatives in their spaces. So it's going to be similar setup to creating space, having different zones and spaces for people to interact with. 28th of June.
28th of June, Matariki, 28th of June. It is all going to be going down over there.
It's going down. Let's go. So we've got recording studios. We've got media rolling out. So there'll be a lot to follow. And I think that it'll be the time I start booming everything that I am around that time.
Is there a thing with this 28th thing? So do you mean this is, so there's your thing, Tile Legacy is being released 28th of This month?
This month. Yeah.
And then the Matariki 28th of June. Is there significance around that 28, or that just happens to be the same?
Yeah, it's the start of the moon phases. So we want to be aligning with during this month or during the next month, June into July. There's going to be a shift of energies, and we want to make sure that we're aligning with the start of that shift, channeling intention. So there's going to be a lot of Māori stuff happening, our Māori stuff around, making sure our whare Mauri is open with the right intentions. And just to break that down quickly, like te whare Mauri is energy. So
life
as you build that life force and energy, it should radiate out further and further and further. So we're going to be utilizing the impact of Matariki, aligning with the stars, so that our intentions are set with our ancestors first, and then with the public.
Yes, and with nature and everything. Just that is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that as well for our listeners as well, because it has so much more meaning when people can actually connect to the mana and the ihi and the mauri of your walk, and this light that you've brought. You know, this light that you've brought with other collectives for our public and for our whānau, and being able to maneuver collectively with nature. And that's powerful. Ngā mihi nui. That is so awesome. Thank you for letting us know that part of it as well. What else have we got going on? Because I know you still got so much going on over there.
Oh man, yes. Well, as I just get home and I set up, I've shifted a lot of things. So I'm working now out of Mate Huruhuru, which is here based in South Auckland, and they've tasked me with creating their metaverse. So through all of this stuff,
metaverse, you say?
Digital native. So I'm a native.
Bloody native.
Yeah. So we're prototyping what that's going to look like. And I think to give you an insight just visually.
Yes, please.
You know, when you put on a VR device and you've got VR chat and you go in, you create your skin and you walk around and you see your friend and you hang out in this VR space. Well, what I'm essentially doing is I'm creating virtual versions of ourselves, so I can go into the metaverse as me looking like this, and I can walk around.
Avatar.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I can walk around our New Zealand office that we gather at. So if another lockdown happens, it's like, oh, well, let's just stay home and jump on VR and meet through that. And it's a way to facilitate kids while they're at home, to increase capacity and engagement, and to allow for them to learn in an interactive space. So that's another part of what I'm up to in the digital world.
That is crazy. Actually, just to touch base on that. So there was this thing. So there's a journey with my boy. I'm going to try and do this as short as possible because this show ain't about me. But in a nutshell, my son couldn't go to school. He was in hospital for a little bit. He was diagnosed with B-cell ALL lymphatic leukemia. And there was a man named Ben. I wish I remembered his last name, but there was a man named Ben. He had come through and he had seen my son, and then I had received an email like a week later, because he was like yourself, a digital man, and he had lost his boy to a similar mama that my son had a few years back. Anyway, he knew that it was like it was really hard on his son's like spiritual and emotional side to not be able to be in school, and he really tried to get his son to try and socialize or get some of his friends to come over, but it was really tough for them to do that because his son kept going up and down. So what he ended up designing was something similar to the VR vibration, but it was the schools had to okay it, of course, like they were trying to put it through, and you have like a little stick and it had cameras around it, and they would put it in a chair at the kura. And the kids could interact through the teacher, and the teacher could throw questions at, like, whatever my son would ask, my son could thing it and the teacher could answer back to the camera. And then also, because the cameras were on each side of the stick thingy, he could see his friends either side of him, almost like he was in kura. Yes. Is that something similar? Is it something along those lines? Is it similar?
It's but more upgraded, super upgraded, actually.
Yeah, probably super duper upgraded.
Yeah,
because
super duper upgraded.
like,
There's too many cameras. There's one on your face.
Yeah, this one was how many years ago? So before, 4 years ago, and we all know that everything like goes.
Yeah, that's like beta VR.
Just hearing you talk about it, it was just like, man, when I heard the beautiful side of it, it's being able to have your kid in class without your kid being in class because they lose their hair and stuff like that, but being able to feel like they're a part of something.
Yes,
like that emotional and spiritual aspect of being able to have that VR life and walk in that sort of stuff, or have that type, you still feel connected. So sorry, I had to share that one because I was just like, whoa, it's just similar to the concept of the.
Definitely that though. I mean, I'll tie in together what we're up to your corridor. And what we're doing right now is we're testing, or we're rolling out cohorts of rangatahi development programs, workforce readiness programs, mental health awareness programs. And what we're doing is we're taking small groups of tai tamariki and rangatahi, and we're rolling them through these 12-week programs, and we're doing it digitally, with some of it being physical. Okay. What we're learning is that it's working. A lot of these kids are jumping on and completing all these tasks when an adult would be like, so what's my login again and where do I go to? But where I'm going with this is that when you look at VR devices and you put on a virtual reality device, now what you're going to be able to do is interact with your learning. Like it may be like an online game that's going to teach you an outcome. And this is far right from the NCEA learning method of, box A, B, C, or D. It's like, well, the A, B, C, D has now become an interactive game for our tai tamariki. And there are a lot of us here in New Zealand developing what that's going to look like, because we can see with the education system, it's just not working. So what would we teach, and how would we integrate that with our under 25s really integrated in social media? We can see that the 2D version works, but the 3D version might be a thing of the future. So it's always good to have. Yes. And I'm in that space as Māori, so that we are looking after our own instead of paying someone else to do it. Yeah,
100%. Like we wouldn't have to pay anybody, because we have entrepreneurs and creatives like yourself providing those platforms and those paths for our people. So ngā mihi nui ki a koe. That sounds, I'm excited. Even just hearing
stay tuned. That's a June release as well. So
is that coming out in June?
A lot of projects running. Yep, I've got to have it ready by June. So, I mean, I've got a lot of time, but not really.
For you, it's a lot, because you know how to keep it productive over there. For people like myself who are still learning
24 hours in a day.
Keep that shit productive. It's good. Thank God, because you're inspiring me to make sure that I follow through with just stop being distracted over there, Miss Marco. So you've got that release in 4 days on the 28th of this month. You've got the release happening with that cope-up that you were just talking about in June. Is there a specific date?
Matariki. A lot of this are dropping at the same time. So Matariki is our huge shift in like everything upgraded. And I'm holding back really the excitement, because all the things that I've learned.
You're holding it back, and it's like I'm getting all the like ihi over here. It's coming through my body, and I'm just like super excited, bro. I'm super excited for so many reasons. It's empowering, it's uplifting, it's spiritually like, and it's just, and I feel emotional about it as well, because it's the connection to it, and the fact that you're walking in your truth, and your purpose is actually the truth and purpose of us as a collective. So incredible, mahi.
We stand on the shoulders.
I'm fangirling, my bro. I'm fangirling.
Well, I want to speak to that too, because we stand on the shoulder of giants to see further. And I can only see so far standing on the shoulder of my giants. But when I look at like people around me, I'm surrounded by giants now, and you're one of them. There's actually a group of us where I'm like, whoa, giants standing on giants' shoulders. Now we're not even in this world anymore, We're looking out at the universe going, we did the world, what's next?
Yeah, literally, we're in different dimensions. We are literally in different dimensions. We are actually not captured in the low vibrational frequencies. We actually don't live there, which unfortunately a lot of our whānau do. But like, because of these beautiful movements and these incredible pathways, again, like what you guys are building and what we're building as a collective, we're able to, I guess, be able to extend our hand and be like, Haramai ki konei. You know, come over here, come to the higher state on the side. Come up to this dimension. You don't need to be living down there. That's not, people don't need to be living down there. Haramai. So, yeah, I'm excited because I'm celebrating over here already because I can already see what you're doing and it hasn't even happened yet. Like I'm in my mind, it's like I can already see it. I feel a part of the manifestation over there. So I'm super excited. Super excited.
I mean, to share that and then to you visualizing it means that, you know, that manifestation is coming. It's coming as a collective. Yeah. Matariki kia ora. So people of the awa and everyone else that's out there that's listening, keep those projections in mind and keep those higher frequencies intact. Keep yourself in a feel good vibration. Stay creative like the brother over here. And just watch us elevate as a collective. Shoulder.
Out to the universe and beyond.
KP Radio Live streaming to the universe and back here from Aotearoa, sending those positive vibes, super emotional intentions to change. Let's go.
What else have we got? I know there's heaps going on with you. Is there anything that I need to touch base on more? Because I'm pretty sure there's even more stuff,
Yeah, I think there's a few more things in the works, but at the moment, I'm not too sure how that's going to look. So
okay.
We'll keep those ones secret until it happens,
Yeah. Well, keep me in the loop. I want to know everything that's going on so I can be a part of the projections and the manifestations on that too, because I will definitely.
Yeah. I think it's, like long story short on that, it's to do with whenua. And so it's building on whenua, but I really don't know how that looks until I do a little bit more mahi in that space. And then I can build my own wellness center and my own space where we can collectively gather.
Yes. So whānau, if you hear or see or follow my brother Amos is here, his journeys with Taio Legacy, all the other kaupapa that he's got going on over there, be a part of the manifestation, be a part of the projection. And if you want to be a part of the mahi as well, just reach out to our brother over here, which leads me into where can we find everything? Where can we tap into you? What spaces are they specifically? And if we can just go over all those things where everybody can find you and if they want to get involved, where they can go.
So we've got, if you want to search myself, Amos Ponga is where I put a lot of my personal developments. You might find drips and drabs of my life, but it'll ultimately tie to something.
And it's always fun. It's always fun to watch. There's always your vibe. Just have to stick that in there. Your vibe because
trying to be the best papa too. So
yes,
if you like papa life stuff, I'm in there.
Yes, I love it. You are a vibe. Sorry, I had to put my 5 cents in there.
I can't fight. KP Radio Live is where I'll be streaming a lot of my podcast content. And that links to Talanoa Aotearoa. That links to Mate Huruhuru, which is our latest documentary that's going to drop. You can find us on Māori Warrior Media. I think I've already listed that one. Taio Legacy is where you'll find our merch for our clothing and apparel. And Parinui is where you'll find the developments of that collaboration of whenua.
So those are all the platforms and spaces that you guys can check out if you want to be a part of or follow or just be a part of the manifestation of any of the mahi. As you can see that the walk, the purposeful walk that the brother is taking is definitely going to elevate us as a collective. So if there's any way that you want to support or collab or anything like that, make sure you just rewind this back a little bit and check out the brother's platforms that he's got going on over there. Otherwise, ngā mihi nui ki a koe e hoa. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you for sharing your whakapapa. Thank you for sharing your Māori. Thank you for giving us some advice in these streets, especially myself. I always appreciate you. You're definitely one of the giants I look up to and am grateful to have you around. And thank you for sharing your time and your energy for Down by the River podcast. I'm excited for everything that's coming up and the collaborations ahead as well. So kia ora, my boo.
Kia ora, ngā mihi whānau. Stay safe out there. Let's go.